Hello, my friends. Thank you for coming back. I'm excited for today's video because we're going to talk about how to get good reviews for your book. And that doesn't mean like how to write an amazing book so that people leave good reviews for you. This is how you go out and, for lack of a better word, I don't like this word because it has negative connotations, but you're essentially soliciting reviews. You are asking for them. You are seeking them out. You are proactively getting reviews. I want you to understand that reviews matter if you want your book to get any visibility, okay? You need to have some reviews, and not just for Amazon algorithm ranking purposes, okay? Think about it as a reader. How many times have you gone to purchase a product or specifically a book and looked at the reviews and possibly changed your mind? If someone left if there was a couple negative reviews and they spoke to you in a way where you're like, oh yeah, I wouldn't like that either, you probably would change your mind. I have purchased or not purchased items based upon reviews. I will tell you that. Maybe items in general, products, but also books. So it's recommended that you try to get at least up to 10 reader reviews. I would think if you can get at least 5 to 10, you're in really great shape. And there are a few ways you can implement them on your site, or on your Amazon profile and your book page and all of that, your author page. But let's talk about how you go about getting them. Now, remember, reviews are important. They basically tell your readers that other people have liked them. Your readers will believe you when you say like you love your book, but it's not going to go the distance unless they hear like other people say, oh, we like this book too. We get it. Authors love their book. You can talk about it all day long, but until other people, like normal people like us, readers, until they say, oh yeah, we loved it, then it's going to fall a little flat. So it's just like having word of mouth, like a friend recommending this book if you have a really strong review. So aim to get at least a handful of reader reviews before you even publish your book, okay? Now remember, we talked about book blurbs and getting people to give you that pre-publication review, if you will, for your cover, your book cover. You can do that. You can utilize some of the stuff I talked about in that video in particular. We talked about how to request a blurb and all of the nice things that you should say. But let's talk about just general reviews here. On Amazon, if you are concerned about the quality of your review, let's say you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get all 5-star reviews. Let's talk about that, okay? Typically, when it comes to like your conversion rate and how you're ranking, the number of reviews that you're getting can trump a lower than average score. Right now, about 4.2, I believe, is average. That's the average number of stars. So if you're ranking below, if your reviews total or averaged reviews are below 4.2, then you are below average. If you get one of those horrible reviewers who is just in a mood, but you have like 50 other excellent reviews, do not sweat it. Most of the time, the number of reviews will trump that lower one. But if you only have 2 or 3 and one of them is a 1 and one of them is a 2, even that 5-star review is going to get overshined on that. People will see those negative reviews and that might speak louder. It's just like, we hold on to negative memories more so than we do positive memories. It's kind of like that. So I worked with one author who she had this review on her book. She had tons of good reviews, and she had this one review that just really bothered her. To me, because I worked on her book and I knew it quite well, to me, it looked like that reviewer had not read the book very closely. Now, this was a nonfiction book. It was a very dense, medically based. She was a doctor of clinical nutrition, and she was trying to educate her readers with some very complex stuff. It seemed that that reviewer did not read it very well. But because this reviewer spoke at length and attacked, they brought up like key words like plagiarize, which isn't true, but things like that where they're like kind of making these baseless accusations, that can be so hard for a reader, an author to take. We're going to talk about how to deal with negative reviews. But as a reader, put yourself in the reader's shoes. How would you take that review? Would you be able to overlook the 45-star reviews if that one star was like upranked, how they have that little button, X amount of people found this review helpful, and you can click yes or no or whatever, and it filters to the top of the list, and they will show you the most helpful reviews first. So if that's the first review you saw, it may change your mind. And this client was just distraught. She was like not having it. She tried to contact Amazon to get it taken down, but that's a whole nother thing. There are certain reasons why Amazon would take down a bad review, but let's talk about the reviews that you are soliciting. Again, not my favorite word. The reviews you're asking for in advance of publication. These are the ones that if you get a reader review that was like, not my thing, you don't have to put that up, right? You don't have to. You can select your best reviews, right? So let's talk about a couple of these things. Number one, you can never ever pay for book reviews, okay? Not only is it probably illegal, it's typically against Amazon's terms of service. You can look into the terms of service to get the exact language, but you should never pay for book reviews. You can give a free copy of your book or an advanced copy, or promise that you will send a signed copy after it's published, that type of thing. That's totally fine, but you cannot pay for a book review. If you see someone who's trying to sell you, like, I'll give you a review for $20, don't do that, okay? So do not pay for them, but in general, there are two types of reviews that you can ask for. For your book being a memoir, it's typically going to be you're looking for ideal readers. It's not just going to be like any old person. If your book deals with issues or topics that are particular to a certain category of people, a demographic of people, let's say teenagers or the elderly or women or male, like whatever it is, if you aren't getting reviews in that category, your readers are those reviews are going to fall flat. If you are getting positive reviews from ideal readers that talk about how it impacted them, it's most likely going to be a much more inspirational and motivational review for your other potential readers. They're wanting to be able to connect to something, and when they see a review from someone who's like them, they're going to go, okay, cool, I totally get this. For example, I was doing some comp title research today. I came across this book from an author who liked to drop a lot of F-bombs, and I don't think her book description adequately warned people of that. So a couple of the readers' reviews on Amazon were like, oh, I did not like this language. This language just was horrible and it was distracting. Some people liked the fact that she was comfortable using that language in a way that was tactful yet, impactful. It brought some attention to some things. But some people just don't like to read that. So you have two different preferences there. And if you are soliciting your own reviews, if you're saying, hey, ideal readers, I have a book that I want you to read and review for me, and you get responses that are similar to that, you get like, oh, I didn't love the language here, or oh, this doesn't apply to me, you wouldn't choose to post those, right? And you want to make sure that if you are getting feedback like that in the beginning before it's published, that you maybe adjust some book description language or something to indicate that these things are there so your readers are aware, so they aren't feeling like they were tricked into reading something they would have never read. It's similar to like a trigger warning. You know, you want to make sure you're warning your readers that these types of things come up. Anyway, just things to think about when you're asking for reviews and then analyzing what you get back. Now, let's talk about how to ask nicely. You're not going to just like blast it out there on your Facebook or something. Hey, who's willing to do like a quick review for my book? You know, you want to make sure that you are making genuine connections with people who are potentially in your readership and asking them nicely like, hey, would you be willing to read my book and, you know, give me, craft a review for me, etc. Like, you're going to ask them politely, but these are going to be genuine connections you make. If you are, let's say you find, we'll talk about this, but there's a couple places you can find reviewers, like Facebook pages. I think we covered this in a previous video, but again, you're not asking people who aren't in your readership. So it shouldn't come across totally out of the blue. And you aren't going to be asking people you've never connected with or have no previous dealings with unless they are putting themselves out there as open for books to review or something, right? So think about who you're going to. It shouldn't just be your besties and your husband and your son and your whoever. It shouldn't just be the people closest to you. You need to find ideal readers. The second category that you are going to hopefully think about looking for, it may not apply to your book, but I know a couple women in our group have asked about this. Authority reviews. These are people who are authorities in a particular topic that apply to your book. These are tricky to get. We talked about this in another video, so I'm not going to go deep. But they are busy people. Typically, you're asking professionals and you're reaching out as kind of a cold contact. If you have a close relationship, obviously utilize that. But make sure that there's a connection, that there is some type of, mutual situation going on where you're hopefully going to be supporting what they have going on and they can support you in return. So you kind of want to look at both ends of that coin, okay? Now, if you get some bad reviews before it's published, you can choose not to pay attention to them. You just throw them in the dumpster. But you have to know that your book is not going to be for everyone. And that's why things like keywords and categories and your book description are going to be extremely important for you to nail down so that your readers know what they're getting into, so that they don't come and say, by the way, I read this book because I thought it was supposed to be about XYZ, but it wasn't. And now I feel tricked and bamboozled and I am upset. You don't want those reviews, right? You want honest reviews. Like, you know what? This didn't resonate with me, but the writing is solid. Whatever. That's fine. But your book isn't supposed to be for everyone, and that's okay. Now, Amazon, you can appeal a review. You can go through the process of getting it removed, but it's not just like, this is a bad review, I want it removed. There has to be a reason, like the person intentionally lied, or I forget what they are. I haven't looked into this in a while, but it's like very egregious. Like they're making up crap. They are being hateful, they're threatening you, that type of thing. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck with them. But what you can do is you can actually respond to these reviews. I'm sorry you feel that way. I definitely understand where you're coming from. You don't want to sound defensive. You don't want to throw it in their face like, oh, you're wrong, you made a mistake, if that's what it is. Just respond out of gratitude that they took the time to read your book, that they took the time to leave their review and share their thoughts. And if there is anything you can address or adjust, make sure you address that. Offer to rectify the situation if that is necessary, but you don't need to go lengthy on and on and on, and stay away from sounding defensive. This book is your baby, but again, your baby ain't for everyone, okay? Now, if you're getting reviews or feedback that tell you that you need to make some updates to the book before it's published or do some additional editing or whatever it is, try to be open to feedback and listen to it and make adjustments so that you come back in a better light. So don't take it personally. These are other humans that may be having bad days. Maybe you hit a nerve. Maybe you said something. I'm like the queen of saying dumb things. So I'm sure I offend people most of the time. I could be wrong, but I know I say stupid things, and it's almost just, I just don't realize it sometimes. I try to slow down and listen to what I'm saying. This doesn't happen as much in writing, but it does. It does. We all say things we don't mean. Things come across differently to different people. So just be okay knowing that you're going to not get the best of reviews. However, do your best to get a few, I would say at least 5 before you publish so that you can have them on your author page. They're like advanced reader reviews. We talked about that. But for Amazon, it's a benefit for you because then you start getting the ball moving. You're going to start ranking. You're going to start, the algorithm will start supporting you. The readers are going to start seeing it. So it's not just about putting this stuff on your cover or getting feedback from readers so that you can make enhancements to the book. Those are additional benefits. Do something for your particular Amazon profile and author page and all of that. So come back. We're going to continue talking about this. I want to actually address how to get professional reviews, meaning how to get like industry reviews out there on different sites and stuff, because that could also be something you're interested in and that could help with publishing on Amazon as well. So come back and we'll talk more, okay?